You remember your first kiss. You remember the smell in the room, the exact words someone said, the color of the sky that day. It feels solid. It feels like a recording you could press play on. It isn't. Every time you remember something, you're not pulling up an old file. You're rewriting it. Right now, in this exact moment, if you think back to your 10th birthday, or the day you got some piece of bad news, or the last real conversation you had with someone you've lost touch with, you are not accessing the past. You are reconstructing it. And every time you reconstruct it, you change it a little. Then you save the changed version as the new original. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. Here's the short version. A memory isn't stored in one place, like a video file sitting on a hard drive. It's stored as a pattern of connections between neurons, scattered across your brain. When you remember something, that pattern gets reactivated. But reactivating it makes it briefly unstable, like taking a photograph out of a drawer to look at it, and while it's out, the ink is still wet. For a short window, that memory can be edited. Then it gets filed back away, slightly different than before. Not because you're lying to yourself, because that's just what remembering is. Think about what this means. The version of your first kiss you have right now isn't the version you had 5 years ago. It's been edited, probably dozens of times, by every mood you were in when you thought about it, every story you told someone else about it, every time a similar song came on and dragged the memory back out into the light to be touched again. Somewhere along the way, a detail got sharper because you focused on it. Another detail got softer because you stopped needing it.
You didn't do this on purpose. Your brain did it for you, quietly, in the background, the way it edits everything. This is why two people who lived through the exact same moment can swear with total confidence that it happened two completely different ways. It's not that one of them is lying, it's that both of them have been quietly rewriting their own copy for years, and neither of them noticed the edits happening. And here's the part that gets uncomfortable. If memory is something you rebuild instead of something you retrieve, then the past isn't fixed. It's not sitting behind you like a finished book you can flip back to. It's more like clay that never fully hardens. Every time you touch it, it takes a slightly different shape, which means, in a very real sense, you are still writing your own history. Today, right now, every time you think about who you used to be. There's research that shows just how far this can go. In lab settings, psychologists have been able to plant memories in people that never happened at all. A childhood trip to a mall where they got lost, a hot air balloon ride, an event built entirely out of suggestion and a few fabricated details. And the unsettling part isn't that people believed it. It's that once implanted, those false memories felt exactly the same from the inside as the real ones. There was no internal alarm, no asterisk. Your brain doesn't tag memories as verified or unverified. It just tags them as yours. So maybe the question isn't, did that really happen the way I remember it?
Maybe the better question is, which version of me built this memory the last time I opened it? Was it the version of you that was hurt, looking for a reason? Was it the version that was nostalgic, looking to feel something warm? Every visit leaves fingerprints, and you can't tell, just by looking at a memory, which visit left which mark. This isn't really bad news, even though it might feel like it at first, because it also means the grip the past has on you isn't as fixed as it feels. If a painful memory keeps getting reactivated the same way, replayed with the same emotional charge, it stays sharp and it stays heavy. But there's evidence that if you can revisit a hard memory in a different emotional state, calmer, safer, with new context, the reconsolidation process can actually soften it. Not erase it, soften it. This is part of why some forms of therapy work at all. You're not digging up the past and leaving it exactly as you found it. You're allowed to touch it, and touching it changes it, whether you mean it to or not. Which means every memory you have of yourself, the proud ones, the embarrassing ones, the ones you replay right before falling asleep, isn't a fixed monument.
It's more like a conversation you keep having with your own past, and both sides of that conversation keep changing. You are quite literally a slightly different person than the one who first lived through your own memories, and so is everyone else remembering the same moment beside you. So the next time you're absolutely certain you remember something exactly as it happened,
The words, the light, the feeling in your chest, it might be worth sitting with this instead. You're not remembering the event. You're remembering the last time you remembered it, and the time before that, and the time before that, all the way back, each version quietly editing the one before it, until what's left isn't the moment itself, but something you built, one retelling at a time, out of the moment's ruins. Maybe that's not a flaw. Maybe that's the only way a person could survive carrying their whole life around with them, not as a fixed record, but as something soft enough to still be lived in.